Here you go. Take that one, I'll take this one.
All right. We good on that one? Okay, so y'all passed the evaluation article, and we passed, y'all passed, we've had several conversations on that. I do want to, because I did dig into, Vicki, a little more on the reappointment numbers. And because we said 29 people were non-reappointed, well, 4 of those were administrators. So that was in that number. 4 of those also were interim contracts. 9 of those you were asking about how many of those were PAC, 9 were PAC. So there was only 12 teachers that were first year or up that were non-reappointed this school year. And we also checked to see, because you asked how many PAC were let go during the year, and there were 3. So those are very positive numbers. So looking over, we're not in disagreement whatsoever with that. There could be better work done at the schools to support teachers, okay? Or, well, I think we do a good job of supporting teachers, let's say documenting the supported teachers and making sure teachers understand expectations and what support is available and what support is being given to them, and working maybe a little more collaboratively. So evaluations involve numerous things. They are not evaluations, but reappointment involves numerous things. It's not just about evaluations. It has many different aspects in it. It can be classroom instruction, which is highly seen in the evaluation, but professional conduct might only be 1 or 2 of the items in the evaluation, so it's not totally reflected. Interactions with others, okay? How did they contribute to a positive school environment? So being that all of reappointment should not be tied to evaluation, we felt our response should come back in the general employment practices article, okay? So we do have language we're bringing back, but we just feel like it shouldn't be in the evaluation article. So we're coming back with original language for the evaluation article, but we have language in the general practices article that we think is going to, because some of the things you said, you want principals, you want it documented and seen that they've had conversations, okay?
And that they've offered help,
right,
and guidance and coaching.
So we believe our language requires principals to have those difficult conversations, which eliminates the possibility of those surprises come, January, February, March, all right? It requires the documentation. We're actually requiring them. We have highly suggested to them that it should be in the evaluation document. And there have been times where the people have told you, I have no clue why I'm not being reappointed. We're able to give you, through their permission, their evaluation document, and y'all seen that, hey, they've had many conversations, and it benefits us, it benefits y'all, because you're able to clearly tell the employee there's no question whether or not the conversations were had. So we don't have a problem now with telling them you're going to document it in the evaluation, okay? Our language, you'll see, requires that documentation. It's going to require the support or guidance. So they have to be able to show that in there. So it's not a true checklist, but in a way it's a checklist, because it's giving them things that they have to do. I will say I put this language out to numerous principals. Mr. Martins, who back with us, looked it over, and we all agreed this is best practice. These are things that should be done. It also recognizes in the language that not every concern is instructional, that they need to deal with. So sometimes it's performance, sometimes it's things that aren't performance. So it's too difficult, because we talked about, do you require the PDP? Well, if you have things like interacting with others, how they interact with not just their peers, but with parents and with students. Years and years ago, and I think it was Miss Rieger, We both had difficulty trying to work together to create a PDP on just helping someone learn to be nice. And how do you measure that? PDPs are supposed to be measurable. So anyway, we feel like this helps take a holistic approach to show classroom instruction, professional conduct, interaction with others. Are they contributing to a positive school environment, you know? Are they the negative Nelly, you know? But the principal has to be able to coach them. If that is the case, PDP might not be the right thing, but they're still gonna have to document what guidance are they giving them. Have they had that conversation that, listen, your peers are saying that every PLC they have or interactions they have, that you're not bringing positive vibes. So that's what we've tried to do with our language. So we're gonna send the evaluation back over. I don't even know if we need to TA it as being original language, but we did. We brought it, and then we'll read over the new language. Yes, go ahead and do both of them. It's a stretch today. So that's the rationale for why it's not the language in the evaluation conference. So it's on page, the back page. Okay, we titled it Professional Support and Reappointment Considerations. And when an administrator identifies concerns related to a teacher's job performance, professional conduct, or other job-related expectations that do not warrant immediate disciplinary action, the administrator shall meet with the teacher in a timely manner to discuss the concerns or performance deficiencies, document the conference within the conferences section of the evaluation instrument, communicate the expected standard or behavior, and provide appropriate guidance or support intended to assist the teacher in addressing the concern. The teacher is responsible for participating in and applying the provided support. The parties recognize that overall teacher effectiveness encompasses more than classroom instructional performance. Reappointment decisions are holistic and may take into account classroom instruction, professional conduct, responsiveness to feedback, interactions with students, parents, and colleagues, contributions to a positive school climate, and compliance with school board policy professional standards. Non-reappointment of an annual contract teacher at the conclusion of their contract term remains with the statutory authority of the principal and district pursuant to Florida law. So we kept some of your concerns and a few things we incorporated in there. So we feel like that does that. We cannot guarantee the reappointment based on highly effective, because like I stated at the last, we don't have a highly effective in the spring, and reappointment should not be based solely on someone's evaluation. So, do you have questions on that now, or do you want to wait and caucus on it and ask questions later?
One of the things I would like to see added is that we add the documented support and guidance, that we document the support and guidance that the administration has given. Like what support or what guidance did they give?
Okay.
So just document. So I would like to see that, and this is just one thing that we still need to caucus on it, but one thing that I know that
and we'll have to, I'll
add.
reach out to that too, because I can't tie hands too much. I immediately don't see a problem, but I like asking those that are the ones actually doing it.
So when it states, communicate the expected standard or behavior and provide appropriate guidance or support intended to assist the teacher in addressing the concern. So.
Appropriate documented.
Perfect.
Well,
Appropriate documented.
Provide appropriate documented guidance or support.
That's our English teacher.
That just means that you put it down in writing.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Anything else for us to talk about at the same time on it?
I think I like the way you've listed out the all-encompassing challenges of being a teacher is not just about delivering instruction, Because I think sometimes people, especially alternate certified people, come into the field and maybe they know their subject area, but they don't understand the challenges of being a teacher involves
A lot.
so many other things.
Yes.
So many other things.
You demystified it. Like now it seems you're articulating something that's,
And it's, a lot of those areas are the areas they might, like you said, they might instructionally know the material. But there are so many other aspects of being a teacher that contributes to a school in a positive way. I think the first paragraph kind of provides those assurances you were looking for. It's kind of like a checklist because it lists things that the principals must make sure is documented and done.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. So, insurance article.
I can get it while you're talking.
Oh, sure.
You're on time.
Okay, meeting with the board and the superintendent. This is one they're not willing to give back management rights on because they feel very strongly that this requires us all to, if we have premium increases, to not postpone bargaining and get to the table and get it done. Because the board does not want to put this on employees and then have to work on reimbursements and do all that. That's a lot, when I spoke with payroll, a lot of required work to figure out the reimbursements. So this just kind of, and that was the rationale when I did a little digging, why this language was put there beginning, way back before any of us were sitting at the table, is because it forces the hand of bargaining those premium increases in a timely manner. So this one, we're coming back with original language.
Okay, so gives us the incentive to get back to the table to get the premiums done. Reimbursement, ease, or it eliminates,
Yes.
what else did you say?
Rewind. It forces both sides to go to the table and talk about it. You know, like the committee that we just had. It forces us to have to do that. The district does not want to have to, number one, if it was perhaps to be a 50-50, you're still talking about, with that possibility, even splitting the bucket 50-50, some premiums are going to go up and be higher than what they might be originally, which means you have to go back to those employees still if it's a 50-50 split and tell them November, December, whenever you ratify that, hey, you owe us money for your insurance. So this forces the hand. It eliminates, because they said in the past there hasn't been a time to the superintendent's knowledge when increases were increased, and I spoke to a previous HR assistant superintendent that they didn't have it done before the 15th to prevent the reimbursements. Does that answer that? Okay, all right. Anything else on language?
Maybe one more at the time.
Pre-plan.
Oh, yeah, we didn't send that across.
What was I saying? I thought we covered it.
We TA'd it, okay. In service.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But we didn't talk about pre-plan, okay.
No,
We didn't. MOU on pre-planning is what we had discussed.
yeah, we didn't.
We discussed an MOU on pre-planning. Or just, because I know it's too late.
Well, we kind of addressed, if you're talking about the pre-planning days, we addressed that with the calendars. And that the superintendent is reviewing those calendars.
You asked
the-
very specific questions about pre-planning, about the accountability, what measures. I know you said the pre-planning schedules were being sent to the superintendent, but we were wondering who was reviewing them, Tito and
That's exactly
the
right.
new secondary, and we wondered what measures.
Tito, Dr.
were-
George, and the superintendent are reviewing them.
And is there?
So
is
Dr.
there-
Tito, Dr. George, and Mr. Brusky.
Well, so then the question was, they're reviewing them, but we know that Mr. Broski has spoken to the principals in their meetings about it, but like, what is the guideline for that? Like, is it just a nebulous, make it the least amount of meetings as possible, or is there a goal?
Well, I wouldn't say it was nebulous. He made it very clear that teacher time needed to be priority.
But do we have like a priority to one administrator is not the priority to another? Like, do we have a goal? Like, are we thinking like not more than?
I think that's a judgment that Dr. Tito and Dr. George are making when they review their schedules to see does it show a priority? In other words, do the teachers have the majority of the time to work in their classrooms? Are there any fluff stuff there that can be removed? Not counting, I'm sure they're not counting the beginning breakfast and that kind of thing, because that's just always standard and is always done. So they're reviewing those. I wouldn't call it that it's nebulous, but do they have are they sitting there counting minutes? I would say probably not. But the superintendent has made it very clear it's a priority, and at the welcome back luncheon tomorrow, he'll be mentioning it again, that, teachers come back Monday and they need time to be working in their classrooms. And I think just by us working with the professional learning department this year, we showed that it has been made a priority.
So I guess what we're saying is pre-planning is always a stressful time for everybody. And when we get those phone calls where someone's very frustrated, what is our threshold for, okay,
Have
sorry,
you gotten
suck it
any
up,
calls
or-
yet this year? Because the calendar should be out for the new calendars.
We've
I
got,
have two that
So
I
if
would
you
love
will-
to discuss with Tito.
Okay, so if you will
And
give
I
us those, I can't, 2 out of 43 schools means that,
Well, that's just the people that have contacted us.
right, that principals
So-
are probably doing a better job prioritizing.
we just were wondering if there was some sort of a threshold. You said the majority of time, so if we split that in half and said, what?
I cannot
45
speak to whether there's a number or not.
Okay, that's all. We
Yes,
need to
I
know
cannot
when
speak
we
if
are
there's a
following
number.
up with you, or Tito, and who we're following up
So,
with.
yes,
there's
if
an
you will
issue.
give me the names of the schools, and you don't have to do it on air, if you'll give me the names of the schools afterwards of the 2 where teachers feel like, and I will ensure before Monday that whether it's Tito, Dr. George, or Mr. Broski, depending on what department it is, what school, that they have reviewed their calendars.
We do have a secondary as well.
Okay, that would be Dr. George. Which probably Mr. Broski is working with him because, coming from Duval, it might be different. Make sure Dr. George has Mr. Broski's same expectations.
I don't know a number, but I know specifically, mine was reviewed, I had a full-on conversation, and we reviewed every single day of mine with Dr. Tito.
Good.
So, as an example, I can only provide my personal experience, but my entire calendar was reviewed in a conversation day by day.
So
Did you give up any of that time?
I subsequently gave up, I think, over 3 hours.
Yeah, you
I think over
adjusted,
3 hours.
he adjusted
yeah.
times as well. I mean, he did.
So it sounds like they are doing it school by school.
Oh, we will reach out to them then as well.
Okay,
Okay, that's,
all right.
Okay. All right, that's all for language.
Okay, did y'all have something you wanted to be back for compensation? If not, then I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll. Okay, we're gonna go with millage first. Because there is a slight change over what we passed. Okay, John did change the percent that was being utilized for the benefits to the 23, what, Joan?
23.36.
Okay. So it was cut to the 23.36. Before we get into it, this mill is not the 26, 27 mill, okay? This is the current mill that the district is already collecting. It is going out for renewal at the November vote, all right? So what Ms. Posey and what the board have done is agreed to postpone some projects to allow for a total bucket of $6 million to be used for this year if the mill passes, okay? If the mill does not pass, then we can't do this because they're gonna need that money to complete those projects, because they're hoping the new money will be able to complete the projects. So this is a different bucket of money than when we get the new mill, because this is a smaller bucket. It was a 6 million total bucket, whereas when we get the new mill, we are currently working with CCEA, we'll have to work with CESP as well on an MOU at the board meeting tomorrow night, because Vicki brought over some numbers of how y'all would like to split the tiers, okay? So, the business department, Mr. Seymour is working on the numbers that y'all proposed, the numbers that we think we're bringing in. You gotta remember, this is all based on what is collected. So that's gonna be a different mill, and the buckets are gonna be a little different, okay? If we split it as many tiers as y'all are recommending for the 26-27 mill, the numbers would go less because we have a smaller bucket to share. So we tried to spread it to where we can give the maximum money this year for teachers, all right? So changing that a little bit, we were able to, our proposal is to put a little bit more money on the 2 lower years, because those teachers, the 0 to 10, because those teachers got nothing last year. Nobody got a lot, okay? But those teachers didn't get anything last year, and the 26 up is already at 13, the 18 to 25 is already up at 1,200. We also feel with our compensation package going across, those teachers are gonna be better off than the lower teachers. So we bumped the 0 to 5 to 875, and this comes from changing the 23 or the 24% to the 23.36, okay? And then bump the 6 to 10 from 9 to 950. Not a big bump, but a little bit of a bump, okay? I do know that the proposal that y'all brought across for the new MOU for the 26-27 mill, which totally makes sense, is to take, okay, if we have 3,000 teachers and there's 5,000 employees, okay, then the teacher should get 3/5 of the money that's available from the new mill, that percentage. The percentage of teachers is about 54, John, was it?
53.
53, and with the proposal that we put across, it's 58% of the money. So you're getting a little bit more, but that's okay, of the total. So the instructional, I put the total on this one, the total is that I did not have on the other, so I put the total for that. I want to remind you that the proposals, the next 3 proposals we're sending across are a package deal, okay? One or none? All or none? Okay, any questions on this before we pass the compensation?
I know you've already crunched the numbers on this and made it come out, and I know that that's a whole issue right there. Can you speak again to why you felt that little bit extra needed to go to the 0 to 5 and the 6 to 10?
Yes, because they're getting substantially less on the compensation, which you'll see when we pass across, and they got 0 last year. And they're also facing the same, it doesn't matter if you're a first-year teacher or if you're a 30-year teacher, you're facing the same insurance, you're facing the same gas prices, you're facing everything else. So we just wanted to try to, it nowhere near equalizes it, but to give those teachers, because they work just as hard, a little bit more than, and we felt like there was already a substantial increase. Like the 6 to 10 year teacher, your upper teachers are already getting 400 more.
And
Plus the compensation is tiered.
And to be clear, unless something changed in your earlier compensation proposal, the zero was getting nothing. So in this proposal, which wouldn't happen until December, if the millage passes, they would actually get something.
Okay, wait, say that again, please.
New teachers.
The
New
zero.
teachers are part of the mill.
Right,
That's exactly what she's saying.
So
Yes.
because you included the zero teachers in
Yes.
here, they would get a bump that would help with insurance, even though it might not come until December
Correct.
or
Correct.
when the mill passes. So
Correct.
that gives them a little bump.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
this will be paid out in full in December, or are we going to break it up? Have we
We
decided
haven't, that hasn't totally been decided. I can, and Dawn, correct me if I misspeak. It is a supplement,
Right?
okay? It's a supplement, which, just to clarify, supplements do count towards your FRS. Supplements are taxed differently than a bonus.
Yes,
So it's helpful to call it a supplement.
yes.
All
But
right?
supplements are non-reoccurring.
Correct. Okay, so we will get with Business Affairs and others to determine whether it's, the discussion has been, is it gonna be 2 payments?
Right.
You know, like if
Like
it's
a
the
half
first
of it in
November, like a
December, and
Correct.
then half of it in May.
Correct.
And even though it is a
Because it's
supplement,
not a lot of money, and if you
break it up.
break it up, it's not gonna be enough to really see
And just, I
for
want
the
to be
875 people.
I want to be clear for everybody watching that may not understand or may not have heard this earlier. Yes, this is a supplement. Yes, this is non-reoccurring, but we are already in the works of approving and getting signatures on the new MOU for the next year that would take
Correct.
place of this.
So everyone watching, we need you to vote yes.
And to be clear, the bands that we have proposed
Are
for the
different.
for the millage that will begin 27, 28, that the bands for that are different. They mirror what we had proposed in compensation band-wise. So
If
there's
you
7
want to read those
bands.
bands, Vicki.
The bands are
they can
0, and then 1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, and then 25 and above. So that we'll try to do a really good job of messaging that changeover when it happens.
We don't want any confusion based on the bands, because the bands will be different. Like our band, our largest band that we're proposing would be 25 plus. The largest band on here is 26
Right.
plus.
Okay. All right. So, the actual compensation proposal. Okay, the compensation proposal that y'all passed across the table on Monday with your totals, okay, I did not verify your totals, but with your totals, it was $3,107,598. And those are, people need to understand, those are always approximate because you're using spreadsheets and like we are having pre-employment today, so new people are added, even though compensation is for those people who have a final evaluation for the 25-26 school year, okay? So this part of the compensation is not for new hires. This is compensation for those who completed evaluation for this school year. So our compensation has a total of $3,504,957. I again want to applaud the board because there were several things that were brought to attention by CCEA, by people who emailed, by the superintendent, and we met in executive session. One of them was the fact that TSIA money you have to pay to base salary. They don't care what you do with other people, okay, with your general fund money. The board and Ms. Posey were very, very concerned due to the financial situation of guaranteed reoccurring funds, because that means you have to pay it every year, and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. But as the superintendent pointed out to the board, and the board totally agreed, and Ms. Posey agreed, how do you explain to employees that just because you fall in what the state defines as very valuable people, and apologize to the state, that was a little snarkiness because none of us agree with what they've done, but how do you explain to the group of people who happen to be defined as a classroom teacher by statute, who happen to have 10 or more years only in a Florida public school, that they get base salary and the others may not, or that they get all the TSI money and the others don't? We also discussed how even if we said, okay, we're going to give people who are not in the parameters of the TSIA their 20 years experience, well, you might have a TSIA teacher who has 25 years experience, but maybe only 10 of those are in the Florida public school. So again, they were put on a lower level. So what the board approved was, we don't care where your years of experience was, we worked it out where we did make sure those who fell in that TSI bucket do get that TSI money, because we have to report that back to the state, okay? But the district invested, the board approved. Ms. Posey is probably going to need a long vacation to figure out how in the world are we going to be able to make this happen. But everybody are going to get their years of experience based on this schedule, whether you're TSIA qualified or not, and it's all base salary. So, and our
And
proposal,
recurring.
and it's, yes, because that's base salary.
Recurring base salary,
Yes.
which is amazing, and I will tell you this. We are appreciative that the board listened to our teachers, because the first proposal was $600 to everybody that did not qualify for TSIA. And we are so excited that we were able to
Bump that to 875.
bump that
Well,
in to
wish
get
it was
a match,
Yes.
for our guidance counselors, because in the
Well,
first
yes.
proposal, our guidance counselors, and I want to make this clear, the first proposal that we got from the district, guidance counselors, coaches, people who did not have 10 years of Florida experience. So if you had 25 years in West Virginia, you were not going to get that here. So we are so excited that we have been able to include those people in getting the same raise, because they fully deserved it. And this is what we call equity. So we thank
Yes.
the board for listening to our teachers.
Well, thank you. And this proposal is almost 400,000 more than what?
And
I'm excited
the
about that.
pressure worked. I'm so excited that
I
our
wish,
teachers
and
did
I
this.
can tell you, Ms. Posey wished she could say it was more.
I know.
But the board has stretched, and it is coming out of the fund balance.
Yeah.
And the board, they get it, they see it, they also understand the insurance issue, and it is a concern for all of us, you know, because it affects everyone.
And we are proud.
So
We're absolutely
it's
proud that
going
we're
with
going to have a
everyone.
matching.
I think you should be proud, the board should be proud, the superintendent should be proud about coming together to make this happen.
Absolutely, and I think that, you know, one of the things that I heard over and over from our teachers is Clay always says all means all, right? And the state passed a rule that where all didn't mean all. And
Correct.
so we were handed this mess, and we had to come together, and
In record
teachers knew
time.
what was fair.
In record
Teachers
time.
Yes, in record
Teachers
time.
knew it wasn't fair, you knew it wasn't fair, we knew it wasn't fair, and then we appreciate that you stretched to make it reoccurring, because reoccurring means a commitment. That's what reoccurring, a one-time thing doesn't mean, and the 601 non-reoccurring was not a commitment, and that's what we heard, like, how is that planning for the future if it's not reoccurring? This is a commitment to the future, it's a commitment to competitive pay, it's a commitment to decompression in a small way, because that's an issue that we were given by the state that we're still trying to unravel.
Yes, we are.
So yes, we are very appreciative of this, and I think that we should all be proud of it.
I will share that at the executive session tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will, I'll share that. Okay, so insurance. I want to thank those who were part of the insurance committee. We had SUSPA representatives there, we had CCEA representatives there. The president of both organizations was there. We had business affairs there, and we had HR there. So it was a conglomerate of people. We had people that were part of every plan there, so that we tried to incorporate voices of everyone, because the insurance is the big pause, okay? The insurance is what's created a lot of heartburn, as Vicki likes, because it does. It has created a lot of sleepless nights of how are we going to keep the district's fund viable? How are we going to share the funding, the required funding increase across to everyone without decimating everyone? I mean, I don't know of another way to put it. So to review what we did, what the committee looked at is, again, we evaluated the 3 different plans. And as you can see on the document, the PPO plan is just, it's costing the district. That 6.5 million you see at the bottom, what that means is that after employee premiums, after district premiums, the district had to fund out of the fund balance of the insurance another $6.5 million to cover the claims for that plan only, okay? The HMO plan, you can see, runs in the red a lot, but not near as much. It's 2.7. The choice plan kind of helps pay for the HMO, but even the money from people using the choice plan nowhere near covers the PPO. So what the district proposed and what the committee worked within the parameters of was lowering the contributions to the fund from the 3.84 million, which represented the 22% that the actuary still recommends, okay? That was the 50-50 split for each side, for the district side and employee side. We reduced that to 16% increased contribution, which is running a risk, but like we spoke about on Monday, is we're hoping that the plans we have in place, the initiatives in place, will help make people healthier and that our claims reduce. If the claims don't reduce, we're going to be in a position to have to do this again next year. So hopefully not. So we reduced it to the 2.77 for each side to have to cover. So like I stated, the committee, we met for what, about 3 hours? 3 painful hours. It had CCEA, CESPA, and the district to best meet what meets the overall health of the entire plan. So it was very difficult because you have to look at the number of people enrolled in each plan. You have to stop and think about, okay, the employee spouses, do spouses have the opportunity to go to a different plan? Maybe families need to, everyone's gonna have to, I know, we're all reevaluating ourselves and saying, is there another plan that maybe the past years, because it didn't go up for 8 years, we just stayed status quo because it was just easier. Now that all the premiums are going up, everyone needs to take time to truly reevaluate themselves to see what best meets their financial situation and their planning. Another thing that was not brought, but it was mentioned, okay, at, and I think, Jen, it might have been you that asked about RX. Okay, so the RX plan on the flyer talked about that possible, if you don't have generic, there was the possibility of it. We're keeping the RX status quo for 1 year, okay? That gives employees time to meet with their doctor this year to discuss possible changes, all right? The superintendent and the board felt like changing medications quickly might not be a possibility. And there are some people that are on very strict medications, they need it for themselves. The RX plan will go next year to what was advertised in the flyer, but this will give all employees a year to meet with their doctors and discuss some possible changes. So that is another big win that hopefully that will help a lot of employees this year. While they're adjusting to a new premium increase, they don't have to try to also adjust to a possible increase in their RX.
How are employees going to know if their prescription is going to be the one that is not going to be
Nothing is
covered?
changing compared to this year.
Right, but for next year?
You're saying, how do they know that they're on the list?
Yes.
We have the list, so we'll figure out how to,
Can we
I'll
get
talk
that
to Erin and figure out how to
message?
communicate that, if that means we.
And Erin
yeah.
was talking about actually contacting each of those
one
employees
So
individually.
we'll put that on our.
Right, because if
radar.
they need to start meeting, I mean,
Correct.
there's thyroid medication that
Yes.
takes years to get correct, so.
Yeah,
So she is going to, she
she's at a conference this week, so I'll
Yes.
get with her when she
and
gets
she has
back.
stated that she can meet with each one
Mhm.
That would be lovely.
to
She's
discuss that.
amazing, she's really good.
So, having said that, do you have any idea about how many people on the plan?
So I can't say
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
Sorry.
And will there be a way for doctors to override that? Like if this is a medicine that is absolutely necessary for this?
Well, if there are exceptions or little like outliers, we'll figure that out.
Okay. Any other questions about the RX? So that's another thing that the board, through the insurance fund, is totally taking on this year, because they pay those RXs.
Yeah, the fund,
Yes.
the medical fund, to where all this money is going into, that fund is paying for all those prescriptions.
And one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have is that Blue Cross Blue Shield pays the bills that come to us.
Yes. So we put a few things on here.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so there's many factors that determine the actuarial's determination to help keep the plan solvent, and the reason that they recommended the 22%, part of it is the RXs, okay? The very high cost of prescription drugs, and some of them are astronomical. I will say that eScripts does a terrific job on working, trying to get the rebates for people and that kind of stuff, which is very helpful. But one of the factors, and we already discussed it, is that the choice plan runs $6.5 million in the deficit, which means above the employee and district contributions, we cover that. The HMO is 2.7. Clay County School Board is the insurance company, okay? Blue Cross Blue Shield's only processes the claims. Clay County pays those claims to the doctors, to the hospitals, to the RX, to the labs for blood work, for all of that. So that was a big misconception. Some people thought that, oh, well, you know, the insurance company pays 80% and the premium, no. Clay County District Schools is the insurance company, all right? So the better that we can get people to use the plan wisely, that decreases the cost of claims, which therefore decreases the cost of all of our premiums. So we need to, and we are working on, just like those Thrifty Thursdays, we need everyone to put the word out to help people, and I know that our health ambassadors try that, but people need to read those things and learn how best to use our plan. The emergency room is not the same as an urgent care. The emergency room not only costs the employee more, it costs the district a lot more, which costs all of us a lot more. So there are some people that use the emergency room as their primary care. You know, we've got to become better stewards of our own fund, and that includes everyone, okay? Ambulatory centers. A lot of people, and I've had teachers go, I can't get a surgery because it's gonna cost me $6,000, all right? You can go, you need to look and you need to talk to your doctors, and I can give myself as an example. When I had my foot surgery, is they called me to do my pre-op, okay? And they said I was going to St. Vincent's, and I said, why? And they said, well, that's, you know, Dr. Acevedo's first available. And I said, well, I don't need his first available. I need the center, the Southeast Orthopedic Surgery Center, because that's an ambulatory center. It's the same doctor doing the surgery. It's the same anesthesiologist. Most of your day surgeries can be done at ambulatory centers. My surgery, because of our insurance plan, and it's currently that, cost me $250. It would have cost me about $6,000 if I'd gone to the hospital. The doctor's offices don't care about that necessarily. It's our employees that have to care about that and ask the questions. You ask the doctor, can this be done in an ambulatory center? a lot of the orthopedic specialists now have their own ambulatory centers. And it's gonna save you money, and more importantly, it saves the district money. It saves all of us money, which keeps our premiums down.
I think it's important for people to know that when you're saying it saves the district's money, because we're self-insured, it's
fund.
all of ours
Yes.
insurance fund that is being
Yes.
saved money. And
Correct.
And the more we can save that insurance fund, and build up like a reserve in there, then we can start looking later about enriching a plan or
Correct.
premiums. But
100%.
if we don't have a reserve in there, then we cannot.
And we don't.
We cannot operate a self-insured plan.
It helps
And
protect
we are.
against the future need for increased costs.
Absolutely, and
Correct.
so, and being newly self-insured, I think this is what, our 4th year, we've got to be
Yes.
making that a priority to
Yes.
build a reserve.
And the free clinics, you know, we mentioned it's
And
looking
we'll go
positive.
back to-
It's looking positive that we're gonna have the free clinic available 5 days. Right now, it's only, I think, 1.5 days or 2 days. And so it's not as convenient, I get that. But the free clinic does amazing things, you know? If you think you have the flu and you wanna get a Z-Pack, instead of going to your primary, which is gonna charge you a copay, if you're HSP, you're gonna pay for it out of your savings account, you know, and it costs the district more because they bill more. You can go to the free clinic and get that.
And that is available for any dependents on the
So
plan.
that,
Any dependence on the
and
health
that
plan.
conversation we have are still in the works as to whether that is allowed. I mean, whether they're gonna be able to meet that contract. So we're working with them, first of all, for the 5 days. So
Okay.
it will, so the change is, before, if you were here at Clay, whether you were on the medical plan or not, you could go. So I'm not on Clay's medical plan, but technically right now I could go.
Right,
I won't be able to go.
okay.
So it's for everyone who is on the employee.
If you're
who is
insured with us
on the
medically.
medical plan.
Right, so, but the dependents.
But I can't answer that question
Okay.
right now, we're working with the contract, so
Okay.
that question I can't answer.
Yeah.
And
Do we know when we would know that?
hopefully soon, but I have to check with Erin and she,
Yeah. Most likely, if they're paying premiums
We will
on our
ask.
insurance, we're fighting for that.
Okay.
so first of all, the part was, I know it's only a couple days and then it's like some virtual appointments. We're gonna do everything we can with our initial request with them and the contract to get it open the whole week and hopefully maybe even Saturday or something, but.
Saturday would be awesome.
Yeah, but
Because
to add on the dependents, like the children and all that, that's not how it was before, so that's also a conversation with them. Because before it was just actually the employee
Employees.
there, yeah.
Right, okay.
So all that is in conversation with them, where we're gonna be at in a couple of weeks.
So we had one more question about the RX.
So this was passed over. Can the preventative med list be posted somewhere?
Okay, with that, there's HIPAA and there's all this kind of.
No,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes.
I'll have to.
Put that on your list,
Put that on my list.
yes. The preventative med list.
So I guess that would be the ones that are low cost or no cost.
Yes.
That
That are changing.
they're offering.
I thought you wanted the list.
No, I do not. No, I do okay. I don't want to know that at all.
Yeah, I don't either, that's why it's not
Okay,
with me.
another thing that, you know, is important for people now that, you know, for the first time our premiums are changing, like I said, is to look at each plan. And there's a misconception about the health savings plan and a misconception between a health savings account and a flexible, is it the flexible spending?
Yes,
And the flexible
spending
spending account.
And the health savings account.
Okay, the health savings account, okay, which you can have with the health savings plan, that money, it's not use it or lose it. It rolls, okay? So, like myself, I looked at myself this year, and, you know, I go for my dermatology visits. I've been healthy, thank goodness, so I go for my annual, and I've only had to go to the doctor one other time. If I had taken I'm on the HMO, so it's $81 a pay, it's $1,600 for the year. If I had just taken half of that, put $800 in my health savings account, kept the other $800 to use for increased gas and Publix, I would still have been ahead over what I was paying. So at the doctor for my doctor visits, I would have been out ahead. So And I know that one of our employees has her whole family on it up in HR, and they have saved money. So it just depends on yourself. It depends on what you think are coming up. If you think you're having a surgery coming up this year, you might want to do a low cost analysis as to, can I put enough money in my health savings account to cover that? Or do I need to look at maybe the HMO plan so I can go to the ambulatory center? Okay, but those are things now, it's new for all of us to actually have to start looking and analyzing the plans. There's a virtual meeting today with Hannah that was here to help answer those questions. Okay, also the insurance will help answer those questions. They cannot advise you on plans, okay? They can't do that, but they can certainly answer your questions to help you make a wise decision for your family that possibly could save you money.
And that was a Zoom that went out via county email.
It went out, and she put another one out this morning.
Okay.
I asked her to read, so it went out this morning with how to log on to that meeting, and it's 3 to 3:30.
3 to 3:30.
So, again, I just want to reiterate, I can't reiterate enough that everyone part of the committee, thank you. I think that was a really valuable tool for all of us to be able to work together. We all understand that premium increases are hard, okay? It affects every single household. And so that's what the committee's purpose was how can we separate this? We know we have to meet the 2.7, the district has to meet that, or else the plan's gonna go under. What can we do? You know, how can we split it? So that was the purpose of the committee. But again, the board heard how this is impacting everyone. That's why the board agreed to drop from the 22 to 16, assuming the risk of that, going against the actuarial's advice. But we felt like, okay, let's give it a shot. You know, let's do the best we can. Let's encourage each other to get healthier, you know, and hopefully we'll be in a better position next year. So the next page is the page that the committee actually worked on together to show the proposed increases for the employees. The first column shows where we currently are, okay? The second column shows the proposed premiums for the employees, keeping the choice SAP touched the least. Okay, that was the goal. And then keeping the choice HMO touched the second least. And understanding that being the PPO is the one that's costing all the other premiums to go up because it's the one running in red the most, that's the one that's going to have to carry the heavier burden. Another misconception that affects some people on the PPO are the specialists at Mayo. According to Hannah, most specialists at Mayo are covered under both the HMO and choice. Primary care doctor at Mayo is not covered under the HMO and the HSP, but the specialists are. So you would want to, if that affects you, that'd be one of the things you want to investigate making your decision, is my current specialist covered under either the HMO or HSP? And again, Erin or someone in insurance can help you with that. The next two columns just show the current premiums on the district and the proposed premiums for the district. So any questions on that?
Not on that, but we did get this question quite a bit. How will retiree rates be affected by this? So people who are retired.
We don't
this.
bargain retiree rates.
No, but I'm assuming that the retiree rates are going to be impacted by this, so then is it the same impact on?
To be honest, I didn't ask. I don't have that answer because we don't bargain the retiree rates.
And just
They would need to call insurance.
Okay,
Correct.
so who would they need to call?
I would put them in touch with Ms. Isaias
Okay,
or whomever they currently work with in the insurance department.
okay. So everybody online can hear that?
Yes.
Call Chris Isaias.
Okay.
You know, shoot her an email because I honestly don't know. All right, any other questions on those? And again, the millage, the insurance, and the compensation are a package deal. Are y'all ready to caucus, or do you have anything else?
Do we have any other questions we want to ask? Michael, any questions? Okay, yeah, so we're ready to call.
Okay, just text me when you're done. All right, you can shut us off. Shut us off. Well, for now, we'll be coming back, we're caucusing. And so it needs to be shut off while they're caucusing.
That's what I was just, we didn't have it,
Yeah, that's what,
I thought to see that, so everybody can see it.
That's what I was coming over here to
Let's hear it now.
You took the,
Let's hear it now. We can say, and tell them to comment now while we're caucusing.
I don't take the insurance. I'm just so.
That's right, so this is me and my wife, we're both employees, we're both paid. She lists herself on the how it was.
Here's what I didn't
like. It was all coming
This right
through.
here.
She didn't pay anything. We have done away with that now, and now we will
Able
both
to get specialists
That's
to come in and
with
be
the
like,
increase.
hey,
That's more than veteran, the highest veteran got last year.
primary is.
No, that doesn't get it.
It used to
If
be.
you have that extra money, it needs to go to the top.
They're
Sorry,
not
not
doing
sorry.
No one tells you that.
But they're still.
Yeah.
My dad used to work
I'm
for
so
insurance,
bitter.
he didn't even
Why,
talk.
I know.
when I carry
Yeah.
cars.
Well,
You know,
So the
From
family
CUS,
is going from
I don't have to
person
special.
paying
Yeah, that was
this.
my idea.
Okay, we don't.
We don't have to spell.
we don't have to spell correctly.
That was my idea.
But you're not.
I'm not impacted. I've had so many people.
That's,
I need people who are impacted by your shirt.
And then realities of insurance.
It's complicated. I hate having to get to
drives me nuts.
Yeah, they're
I had to say that though, you proposed $600 non-reoccurring per person. Well, ours is $150,200 more than your proposal. Well, bullshit, know that you did to begin with.
Right, but I didn't know that, I should have gone, I didn't know. That would have been nice to have known.
Right.
No one told me.
Somebody's phone.
No, it's
Sorry,
this
Swiflet,
thing.
we are caucusing. Promise your thoughts.
Hey, the sound is still on. Hey, the sound is still on. Hey,
Is the sound on?
he's got his earphones in.
Is the sound on? We can hear.
That just pretend noise?
But do you hear that noise?
We can hear us talking.
I don't know what to do. Is it this thing?
We can hear us
He's got his earphones in.
Is the sound on? Yeah, it's definitely.
That's like,
we're on.
I think that was the sound, that's the sound you turning on.
I don't know, you put headphones in.
Hold on. I had the YouTube page up, I'll go see. Yeah, we're on.
Okay, all right. So we're back from caucus.
Yes.
So do you want to pass the language first that we,
Yes. So you have the new employment practices.
yes, we do. And we printed 4 copies.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we did is we added, here, we'll go ahead and give those to them. That way we make sure they. So we added the word documented, so now the first sentence reads, when an administrator identifies concerns related to a teacher's job performance, professional conduct, or other job-related expectations that do not warrant immediate disciplinary action, the administrator shall meet with the teacher in a standard of behavior and provide appropriate documented guidance or support intended to assist the teacher in addressing the concern. Good? Oh Lord, it's in 26, 29, give me one.
And do we need to actually TA the original language?
No.
I figured you did not need to do that.
So then I'll have 2 articles going into the rat pack. On in-service and general employment.
Yep, in service and general employment.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna start out with, I know that this is a package deal, and I know that this has come across the table as a package deal, and that we have to accept it and TA it as a package deal. But I do want to make a couple of comments before we agree. We know that the insurance increase will not make people happy. From our support staff, our employers, our administration, everybody, it's not going to make people happy. We also know that the $6.5 million deficit out of the $9 million deficit was due to that top fund. We understand that. And we absolutely hate that this is going to impact some of our employees who absolutely need that plan so that they don't go into debt over medical bills. But being equitable and being fair is difficult when that plan has costed the county so much money. The fact remains that we have negotiated a district contribution of $31 million to our employee contribution of $9.1 million. We do understand that, we see that. While we wish that the district would continue to absorb all of the insurance increases, and we hope that in years to come that you will absorb those insurance increases, we do understand that there was a need to have the employees absorb some of that, and we tried to do it along with the district. I know we don't have a choice as to where we put these increases. We know that this is a necessity, and we are comforted by the fact that the mass majority of our people will not see an increase that supersedes their raise. We still are not happy about it. Our people are not going to be happy about it. But we do understand that this proposal is one that is going to help the majority of employees, everybody in Clay County. So we get that. And
I
that
agree,
is,
and I think the committee did a really good job. Like you said, it was difficult. It was a difficult decision for the SUSPA people there, for the CCA people, for the district. And unfortunately, the burden has to be borne by those who are costing the plan the most. It's not easy for them,
I know,
and we totally understand it, and that's,
and we don't want the people that are not getting that plan to have to take on
to continue to,
the cost of that. So we understand, we do understand. And we are willing to TA this with these insurance increases, keeping it minimal for the vast majority of our population. So
I think the committee did the best job they could.
And I think that going forward, while we're taking this necessary step, we need to do a lot more educating about insurance and the fact we often get the comment, you know, my premium is increasing this much, but the district isn't paying anything. I don't think people understand the district is paying over $31 million towards health insurance for employees. That's something that's not out there that I think we need to do a better job of educating people and helping people also to understand that being self-insured, that money is going into our district insurance fund, and that is what we pay those premiums out of. That's what we pay the cost of doctor's visits and hospitals and surgeries and all of those bills that come in have to be borne by the insurance plan because of being self-insured, and that if we were with a carrier, we would be paying even more.
Agreed, and thank you for that. One thing I know that some people were concerned about is whether their plan itself was changing, okay? My understanding from what Hannah spoke, and I would encourage them to get onto the meeting this afternoon, is that the majority of the co-pays went down, emergency room co-pays went up. But as far as everyday co-pays to the doctor's office, I don't have the proposed inside workings of the plans, but they could answer that today. But if I understand what Hannah said, the majority of the everyday co-pays, like your doctor's visits and your urgent care, those went down. Emergency went up to try to discourage the emergency room except for real emergencies.
I think too that, and just because I feel like it needs to be said over and over again, and because I don't think it's well known, is that Mayo specialists are covered on the HMO.
I did not know that until Monday's meeting.
I think that we need to really put that information out.
They're covered under all the plans.
Right, but the list might be smaller for the HSA, but people need to really explore, and I know they have a short amount of time for sign up, but they really need to explore. If I've got a Mayo specialist, does my Mayo specialist accept the HMO? And if they don't, then they need to contact us because that is listed as a plan benefit for the HMO that people I don't think realize.
Yes, and for those listening, because like you said, they don't have a lot of time, sign up for a plan. You know, sign up for a plan. If you need time to do your research and you find out that your specialist is not under that HSA or that HMO, you can switch plans.
Right.
But you have to have a plan. There will be a controlled enrollment where if you need to, you can switch. So, but they have to sign up for a plan.
Yes, absolutely.
And that will allow a little bit of that research time.
And we're hopeful in the future that if we can get our funds in our insurance fund up, that in the future that the district will be able to absorb any insurance increases that we have in the future, so.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the compensation proposal, and we are so excited that we have secured a permanent increase. The very first increase made by the district was not permanent, it was for 1 year. And not only was it for 1 year, it was the amount of $600, and it did not include those people excluded in the TSIA, which were our guidance counselors, our support facilitators, our coaches, and a plethora of other people who did not have 10 years of Florida teaching experience. So we are excited to TA this because
This is huge movement.
huge movement.
This is a permanent, this shows commitment to competitive pay for the future. It's not a one-time thing. This is on everyone's base pay, something that they will continue to get, and this is everything that we.
And again, I thank the board and I thank the superintendent for fighting also for the employees and for the board.
Absolutely, because
listening and agreeing.
we know that last year we felt like we made pleas, but there wasn't any movement. This is huge movement. It shows that the board and the district really listened when teachers reached out. And
I know there was a lot of emails.
And that, so kudos to all of our people that were active and let you know their personal stories and their hardships and kudos to the board for listening. Because,
So we are excited about that. Just the fact that we have included our guidance counselors and our coaches, I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me that worked so hard for this county, and they were like, I'm only gonna get 600. I said, this is not over yet.
Right.
We are still negotiating, and we are gonna do everything in our power to make sure that you are approved.
fairness is something that the board heard, and we really appreciate that because that's what we bargained for, is fairness.
So finally, we have the millage portion of the compensation. We are aware that this will not go into effect unless the millage passes, which, as you said before, we need everybody, boots on the ground, making sure they are talking about this because it is so important to the funds for Clay County. So the first thing I want to say is thank you for taking that $6 million out of this year's fund if it passes and using it to compensation. We argued hard last year that this millage money should be used for our teachers. You heard us. I'm excited about that.
And the purpose also is to help with some of the insurance.
Yes.
Because we're all positive it's going to pass.
And two, I think it's important to say here in this meeting that this is not the permanent MOU. This is for 1 year only. This is not the MOU for the 4 years if the millage passes. So this is above and beyond for the district to do this out of the current millage when we argued last year for it and we weren't able to get any movement. So this is huge movement as well. The millage that is going to be passed, and I'm going to be very positive about that, the millage that's going to be passed, we will be negotiating an MOU on that, and so everybody needs to know that those numbers are going to look different, that banding is going to look different, and it will be good for the 4 years, and we will be negotiating hard for our employees for that, for compensation, and we will be messaging that out as soon as we can get that done, so that teachers and support and administrators, everyone's going to know how it's going to impact their compensation, and they can have those real conversations with the community. I think the community is very concerned about competitive pay. They're concerned about the loss of educators to our surrounding districts, so that needs to be part of our messaging, and so we're excited to get that done here in the next week, we hope.
And I absolutely want to add, and Vicki mentioned it in our caucus earlier, CCEA has been advocating for this for years. We are so excited that we are finally going to get to see a portion of this, if it passes, go to our educators.
And everybody who isn't up on the millage needs to read the wording, and the wording is very explicit in there, and the district worked on that wording with encouragement from us. The board agreed to wording in the new millage referendum that specifically targets competitive pay for our employees, so that's huge. So I've heard some people say, well, I don't even know what it says. Well, you need to look it up.
Yes.
It's important.
And you need to vote yes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely. So while we do have angst about the insurance increases, we are ready to TA this because we do believe that the compensation portion of it is very fair.
Yes. What he's saying is we need to message to people that this is not a new tax increase.
It is not a new tax.
It's a continuation.
Absolutely,
Yes.
a continuation with a different distribution, not all
Yes.
things.
Which is the reason,
It's a renewal.
if you're listening online, the reason that they can give us this proposal that they have for this year's millage money. Because it is not new money. It is money that has been there. But when the taxpayers say, yes, we believe this should be used for compensation, they are saying that, yes, that millage money can be. They're repurposing it, and then that is why we can use this money for compensation for our teachers.
I love that word, repurposing.
Okay. We ready to sign?
We are. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I did put on the bottom for the official as a package, but I think we should initial the
I agree.
actual
Do you want us to sign the bottom as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Then I also have the final signature page that everyone signs on both sides.
Okay, while we're signing, let's talk about, I'm prepared, and Jennifer, to work on the Rat Pack so that I can get it on the next Thursday night board meeting.
Okay.
So,
Not even in school yet.
I know, but but otherwise I can't go till September,
Gotcha.
okay? So we can work on getting the Rat Pack together because we've already spoken to the board and they have agreed to accept it as the 48-hour. That way you can start thinking about and working on voting time. Because it's gotta go by vote for us to start initiating the pay.
I don't think I didn't sign this
Okay, and I wrote on these a little bit, but that's okay, that'd be not ours.
Make sure.
Well, this one was all completely clean. That I got.
Yes, there we go. And I have to say, I think this is a first. I don't know, I know it's a first for all of us.
Absolutely a first for me.
To have things done.
We actually, long ago, when there was lots of money, the state cut us so badly. We used to always start bargaining in spring, and I remember getting a little card in the mail over the summer to
Be ready for vote.
vote, yeah.
And if you want to swap out, Brenda wrote some notes on a couple of hers, so if you want to swap
Yeah.
one of those out for a clean copy once we all signed it. One of hers has some,
Well, you can keep that one if you'd like.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't have some copies, I did a little.
we have another thing called.
We'll give you
no, it's
this
okay, I
back.
can give you one of these back to you.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think this is the written ones. Yeah, this is the written on.
yes.
Good, page backwards.
Yes, I did. And then we'll do that one, this one, and that one.
Yeah, I think I can swap it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
We'll
the
just swap here, the
scribbly
clean
one.
for
There
the
you go.
scribbly.
Here's the scribbly.
Thank you.
Did I give you all of them? Yes, because
Yeah.
this is a set. And this is a set.
And Chris is working on, so if you think of some more clarifying, because we're working on that misconception document.
Okay.
So just send them to Chris and I,
Okay.
so we can get that out sooner than later.
She sent me some things, I know, and I
And
didn't.
Hannah's gonna work with her as well.
Okay. And I'm sure that the district is going to put out an update on bargaining on the website.
Yes, we will.
And Tim's going to sign this as well.
All right, is there anything else before we cut feed? Thank y'all. And I think we did a really good job working together this year.
I think that it would be lovely if you're agreeable to it, to see if the update on bargaining and have the input into that to employees.
Yeah, I'll do that. I haven't done it yet. So yeah, I'll work on it and that way, yeah, it could kind of be from, absolutely. Okay. All right, have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Before you know we're done.
I just,
Um,